This episode is brought to you by Podbean, the easiest, most affordable option to get started in podcasting. Stay tuned to hear how you can get your first month of Podbean for free. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Committed Critics, a pop culture podcast where not only committed to our opinions, but also each other.
Aww.
I'm Kevin Lau.
I'm Ryan Davis.
Guys, I'm back. It's been a while.
Whoa!
Hey, it's me, Zach.
And it's actually been a while for me. Hi, I'm Andy.
Andy!
Whoa, we have a special guest today.
It's
How'd
me.
you get into my house?
Very carefully with a key. Consensually.
Whoa!
The door was
I
wide
gotta
open.
hide that elsewhere. Should have left it. I should not have left it in the open with a sign that says, "Here's my key."
Well, now you know. Guys, how you doing? How's life going?
Man, doing great. How about you, Andy?
I'm doing great. I'm working funerals. It's depressing, but it's a job.
Yeah, I saw your tweets. At least you got tipped for it. It's what I would have wanted.
I mean, the money's good for a reason, so it's
Can
a
I
living.
can I ask a morbid question? Who wants their
Of course.
funeral recorded?
So, what we actually primarily do is like live streaming, but we record it anyway. So,
Okay.
like, I come in with like a standard Sony camcorder type deal with a tripod. I just point at the action, and we run like a streaming website for every single service.
Okay.
So like you go to our URL / the last name of whoever's service it is, and that way people out of state, people that are still observing COVID regulations, everything
okay.
don't have to go on site. So that's like our main thing, and then I basically just as sort of like a polish it up type of thing. I'll go in, edit the sound, make it all pretty and. Upload it. So technically there is like editing involved, but the streaming's the main portion.
So it's kind of like a COVID
Man.
service, like with people who
Yeah.
can't control. Okay, cool. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
more
You
sense
get
now.
tipped for it.
Live streaming a dead guy. What an oxymoron.
Yeah, right.
You're just like a video mortician, essentially, just trying to make everything look pretty.
If you would have told me a year ago this is what I'd be doing, I would not believe you. But then again, we didn't think COVID would last past 2 weeks, so it is what it is.
You gotta do what you gotta do. But outside of that, you are a content creator for YouTube as well. Well, not for YouTube, but on YouTube.
I am paid by YouTube. No, not yet. I'm actually wrapping up season 3 this next week. I may have said that on the last one, but had to take some time off, get adjusted to living in Chicago, and got several videos in the backlog. So check it out. I do like video essays, movie trailer edits, just some fun little media commentary, all that jazz. So
Is Quicksilver gonna show up in one of the episodes?
I don't want to spoil nothing, but I don't know. It'd be cool.
Man, I'll go to your boss then, Kevin Feige, and then I'll get some answers out of him.
Jesus.
Once he starts paying me, let me know.
Hey, here you're not paying one of your workers.
So what we talking about today, boys?
Yeah, so glad you asked, Andy, because I was about to say it. But today we're going to talk about childhood movies. What the movies that we watched from our childhood, if you couldn't guess from what I said earlier.
Wow. Good job, Kevin.
I know, great. Title speaks for itself. It's so easy. Just movies from our childhood that we really liked when we were just like wee little lads with developing brains and undeveloped prefrontal cortex. Some of us aren't old enough to have a fully developed prefrontal cortex anyway, but that's not going to stop us from making a podcast.
Gosh darn right.
So I mean, Andy, as a special guest, like, what was one of your favorite childhood movies?
Man, I gotta go with a classic, a classic 2D animated Disney, a Goofy movie. Do I got any Goofy movie fans in the house?
Yahoo!
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, respect.
That one, especially the first one. I'll give props to an extremely goofy movie, but I personally grew up with the first one a lot more, and it's a story about father and son, and it's also got some pretty decent comedy still that will hold up 20, 30 years later, however long it's been, and I particularly really enjoy it.
Yeah, I watched the Extremely Goofy movie a lot as a kid, so I've seen the first one though, like a couple times.
Yeah.
But definitely the Extremely Goofy movie has a stronger impact on me.
Yeah.
I think when I was a little kid, I get the covers mixed up for some reason. It's like I thought the Extremely Goofy movie was like the first Goofy movie, and then like a Goofy movie was the second one, or just some odd one because of how serious it was compared to Extremely Goofy movie.
Right. Also, the soundtrack is like baller as hell. So I don't know if I can swear on the podcast, but we can bleep it if necessary.
I mean, hell is fine as long as it's like PG level swearing is fine.
Cool.
We don't get flagged for that. As long as you're not mean to a minority, we're good.
I ain't
There
trying
we
to do nothing.
I'm just trying to live, man.
Yeah, but I mean, a Goofy movie, it's a classic. You know, you kind of add some character development to characters that have been around since the 1920s, and you actually kind of like grow them. And you know, I've been known to be a bit more critical of Disney in recent memory, but you know, the 90s will always have a special place for me when it comes to their stuff. So
Understandable.
Man, all I
It's
gotta
been a
say
minute
is
since I've seen
Bob Iger.
Bob Iger.
What a guy.
I was just
How about
saying
you guys?
that I haven't seen a Goofy movie in a while. Like I remember watching on Disney Channel, and like it'd be on, and I'd watch it occasionally, but like it was always like very, very rare. So I've probably only seen each one like once, maybe.
Yeah, I
Maybe
recommend it.
Maybe it's something I gotta go back to and rewatch.
I think it's on Disney Plus.
Oh, I'm
It
sure it
is.
is.
Yeah, it totally is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I'm
Ryan,
I'm in the same boat as Kevin. I saw an Extremely Goofy movie more.
Rip. That explains
Nothing
a lot
wrong with
about us. But Ryan, what's your favorite childhood movie?
Well, okay, since everyone kind of, it's a little spoiler, but everyone did a lot of animated movies. I was like, well, screw it, I'll just do animated stuff instead of saying Transformers, like it, you know.
Michael Bay Transformers is basically an animated movie.
Yeah, you're right.
But I say The Prince of Egypt only because, and I'll argue this, it is the best animated musical, including any other Disney movie in existence.
I'll vouch for that. It's an amazing movie.
My experience with Prince of Egypt is that I've seen it so many times, but I could not tell you a single thing that happens in it. It's like in one eye, out the other eye.
Kevin, did you not read the Bible?
I did, so I can relay that part.
Fake fan.
I can only remember the Prince of Egypt like in religion class on Sundays, like in like third or fourth grade, watching because we were like forced to watch something. But, like that's the only context. I don't even know if it was the Prince of Egypt. I know VeggieTales for sure, but I feel like Prince of Egypt was there, but maybe not.
There was another movie like Prince of Egypt, wasn't it?
It was you might be thinking the Ten Commandments.
Okay, maybe it was
Oh,
that
there was
one.
the one with the
you're talking
Joseph
about-
coat.
Yeah.
Oh,
Technicolor
Joseph.
Code one.
Yeah, that's the one I saw more frequently, and I still couldn't tell you what happens in it. In one eye, out the other eye.
I still haven't seen that one, but I saw Prince of Egypt too many times to count. Like,
Well, I stand by that. Prince of Egypt can hold up even if you're not from a religious background. Like, it's still like a really well-made movie, in my opinion.
mm-hmm.
I went to a Christian grade school, so I feel really terrible not remembering a single thing about this
Bro, I'm
movie.
Catholic. I think I feel.
Hey,
I watched VeggieTales and 3-2-1 Penguins though.
I did too. So no,
I didn't watch Bible Man.
Prince of
Bible.
Egypt. I have the entire soundtrack on my Spotify favorites playlist. That's how much I enjoy that movie.
It
I-
slaps. It's so
like-
good.
The music in it is great.
Maybe I gotta turn it on again at some point now that I have a more developed prefrontal cortex.
Absolutely.
But Zach, what's one of your childhood movies?
My favorite childhood movie would be Monsters Inc. It is. I have a special place in my heart for Monsters Inc. It was the first movie I saw in the theaters with my mom, I believe. I remember crying at the very end of that, like hysterically, and my mom having to like soothe me when finally Sully opens the door and is like, "Kitty," and the like boos like, "Kitty," yeah. But yeah, it always got to me, and I'd always rewatch it. I had like the little like the plastic VCR container for it. You guys remember like those big thick ones? Yeah. I'd always we'd always plug it in, have to rewind it. I think it was like a blue color to match Sully, like the tape itself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it was so cool. Always pop it in every like weekend or something. Whenever we were bored, wanted to watch it. Bottomless Snowman always kind of freaked me out a little bit. Same with Water Noose, like a little freaky, but I was able to get by with it. I just think Monsters Inc. doesn't get enough credit sometimes. Like everyone's like Wall-E, like every other Pixar movie besides like Monsters Inc. I'm like, no, like Monsters Inc. is very underrated for what it is.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
much so.
definitely. I think Monsters Inc. also kind of like it's still relevant in terms of themes as well
Yeah.
of capitalism and how it exploits humans.
Yeah.
Kind of literally.
They redo their entire like power system at the end of the movie because it was wrong. Like that's a great lesson.
Think something you don't think about as a kid, but then you're an adult, you're like, oh yeah, it was literally child labor to power a
Yes,
company.
sir.
Fun fact, that's actually the first movie I remember like being able to read from. Because I remember, I think I got like the VHS for like my 5th birthday or something like that. And I remember like sitting at the TV and then being like, these are letters, like as the opening credits were happening.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is like the thing that people keep telling me I need to start like paying attention to. And then it changes fonts from like the standard text into the recognizable Monsters Inc. M. And I was like, oh, that obviously means Monsters Inc. now. And for some reason that's just burned in my brain.
Zach, I'll be honest. Outside of the Mike Wazowski memes and Kingdom Hearts 3, I have not seen Monsters Inc. in years.
2319. We got 2319.
2019.
That
They can
too.
watch it right now.
I'll
Monsters
watch
Inc. in
it.
review.
When someone coughs on set, we got like 2319.
Tackle.
Well, I don't know. 6 feet away. 6 feet away.
Oh, 6
I mean,
feet
Ryan,
away.
that's fine. I
Just
really
shoot him with a
haven't
net. Shoot him with a net.
Ryan, that's fine. I haven't seen Prince of Egypt in forever, so there it is. It's one right
Yeah,
there.
we're
with you.
even.
We're even.
Balances out.
There you
But
go.
Kevin, what is your favorite movie from your childhood, sir?
So apparently this is a hot take I've discovered in the social media that I think the first Toy Story is one of Pixar's best movies.
Heck yeah.
It is their first ever. It's the first ever full length CGI film.
Yeah.
So that was like a technical achievement itself. But as a kid watching it, it was just like it's one of those movies that like the pacing is so nice and solid that the emotions are so motivated and like it has a nice flow to it. So it's so rewatchable for me.
Yeah.
And it's also like toys coming to life. Like, that's a childhood imagination right there.
Right, yeah.
That's a nightmare to me.
When you're not looking. No, but I always thought like, Buzz Lightyear was cool. Woody was really cool too. Like I had a little Woody doll back and a Buzz Lightyear back in the day. So it was just, like I said, it was just kind of like visually, of course, like, it doesn't age as well. It doesn't look as polished. Obviously, it's more modern Pixar movies, but I think it still looks great, considering it's the first full length CGI film back in like 1997.
Oh yeah.
I don't think you really can't go wrong with a Pixar movie as like your favorite childhood movie. Like I think my sister's
the Lost Dinosaur, or whatever it's called.
Good Dinosaur.
The Good Dinosaur.
The Good Dinosaur. Okay.
But like
the
I know
one
like
that no one watched.
Yeah,
I forgot it existed, to be honest.
I know like the first movie my sister saw in theaters was like Finding Nemo, and that's why I liked Finding Nemo a lot too. Is because she saw it in theaters, so I went and watched it with her. Or whenever she came home, like I got the VCR thing. It was always what we'd watch also. So I mean, like Pixar movies are very, very good, and I'm a Pixar like purist. Like if you say like a like Frozen's a Pixar movie, I will like literally go and like strangle you. Like no, it's not. Like,
You have to know the difference.
you gotta put respect on Pixar's name.
Zach, Frozen's a Pixar movie.
All right, Ryan, I'm coming to your apartment right now.
Cancelled.
Get ready.
Boys, we got solid picks all around because I remember distinctly really liking Toy Story growing up, and for a while it was also one of my favorites for sure. But like the main kid's name is Andy, and then
that's right.
the neighboring kid's name is Sid Phillip. Or like Phillips or something. And I was like, that's my name, but separate. And I was like, that's so cool.
Then also, I don't know. A lot of people say like Toy Story 2 is so much better than Toy Story 1. It's like, I don't know. Like, I kind of disagree with that. I think, but also, it's also like apples and oranges kind of deal. Whereas because Toy Story is its own thing, it has its own original feel to it. Whereas Toy Story 2 is like, okay, we're going to lean more into a comedy. And then Toy Story 3 is leaning more into a drama, and Toy Story 4 is like, a drama as an epilogue to Toy Story and Woody's arc.
I think in like how you said apples and oranges, like Toy Story, like the four movies themselves, I think they're on a different like level. Like they're so good, you really can't say one is better than the other because they are different enough to be like, oh yeah, like in this case, like Toy Story 2 is better, or in this case, Toy Story 3, like even Toy Story 4, like was it weird that it came out? Yeah, but like it was still solid.
Right, and it's still like different enough from Toy Story 3 to be like you can't really compare the two because they're both trying to do very different things.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because Toy Story 4 is more of a character study, whereas Toy Story 3 was more of the dramatic plot ending of Toy Story.
Honestly, if you just changed the title of Toy Story 4 to like Woody and Buzz or something like that, it would have been fine.
Mhm.
Like no one would have batted an eye at
Are we
it.
gonna make Are we gonna make a solo out of Toy Story?
A
Woody, a
spin-off.
Toy Story story. Slinky, a Toy Story story.
Oh God.
On that note, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about another favorite childhood movie and what childhood movie we'd like to see have a revival. Ooh. We'll be back in just a moment. Starting a podcast? Try a Podbean Unlimited hosting plan. It's what we use here at Committed Critics, giving us the opportunity to have our show on Pandora, iHeartRadio, and even Spotify. You can get your first month of unlimited hosting for free on us by going to podbean.com/committedcrits, just like our Twitter, or by clicking the link in the description. Podbean, the easiest, most affordable option to get started in podcasting. And welcome back to Committed Critics. Hope you enjoyed the advertisements, because I sure did. I'm not sure about you, Andy, being the guest and all, but
Thanks,
you know.
Podbean. Woo!
Unofficially brought to you by Andy Phillips.
Exactly.
Andy Phillips, check him out, YouTube. Let's go. Anyway, so we're going to talk about another favorite childhood movie, and we're going to start with Zach on this one, because I actually kind of forgot this one, but I wholeheartedly agree.
Dude. Okay, so for this one, I wanted to do like SpongeBob SquarePants as a series, but since it's movies, I had to put SpongeBob SquarePants the movie. Like
solid movie.
David Hasselhoff showing up at the very end. Like you're crying on the edge of your seat when they're drying out on the desk lamp. Like, Dennis, like it's so quotable too. Like in high school, one of my personality traits was be able to quote SpongeBob, make SpongeBob jokes left and right. Like
basic boy.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, SpongeBob SquarePants the movie, so good. Like you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, no, it's a really solid movie. Like I even watched it about a little over a year ago. We watched it again, and it's and I was like, oh, like this is like amazing. Like the pacing is so on point. There's actually a lot like really strong character development too.
Yeah.
And it knows when to take itself seriously, but it also has that really goofy, wacky SpongeBob
Now that we're men,
antics to it.
we
can't do
facial
anything.
Now that we're men, I changed my under.
Did you see my underwear? No.
No, that's Scarlett
Do you want
Johansson.
to?
That's what
I
killed
know.
me. That killed me when I figured that out.
It's one of her
when I was
earlier
younger.
roles too.
Yeah. The one thing I was gonna say about SpongeBob SquarePants the movie, what was it? Oh crap. I'll come back to me. I'll think about it. But
The
Andy,
blending
what
of
was
live
your
action
favorite
and
movie?
Animation.
Oh, see, like spinning off of your SpongeBob SquarePants thing, I was always like jealous of like kids that got to watch it because I didn't grow up with like cable as a kid,
Mhm.
and also anytime that it was on like say a TV screen at like a restaurant or something, like my older siblings would be like, SpongeBob SquarePants is so stupid. I was like, well, you guys are my role model, so I guess I don't like SpongeBob. And then I
Well-
found out that it was cool as like 10 years later. We can
Well,
bleep that.
Andy, if it makes you feel any better, I did have cable until I was like 10 years old, but I wasn't allowed to watch SpongeBob.
Yeah, go
And-
figure.
And if it makes you feel better, my parents also did not let me watch SpongeBob, but I don't regret their decision at all.
Yeah. See, that makes me feel a little bit better. I get roasted every now and then. Like one of my friends will make a SpongeBob reference, and I'm like, sorry, I don't get it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
same.
mean, so like for me, for my family, when I was a kid, before I was allowed to watch cartoons, I had to watch a documentary or something on Discovery Channel or Animal Planet.
Mhm.
And I think that's why I grew up to just hate documentaries.
Wow. That's such an intense, weird punishment.
Wasn't even a punishment. It's just like,
But
hey,
to a
it's like-
kid, it is. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's like I'm like I want to watch cartoons after I come home from school. Like, no, you gotta watch the documentary first. You gotta learn something. It's like I just learned something all day.
I was there for 8 hours. Yeah.
So, like, yeah.
For my favorite movie, it's like much older. I think all the way back in like late 80s, early 90s. So I don't know if anyone actually remembers it, but it's called An American Tale, and
I
it's
know what you're
about
talking about.
yeah,
I've seen it before. I just don't remember it. I just know it's a mouse or something.
yeah, it's a mouse family, and they travel from the old country, and they're of Jewish descent, and they travel to America for bigger and brighter prospects, and they're told that there's no cats in America, and yet come to find out there are more than enough cats, probably more than there were back where they're from. So it's actually like a really decent commentary about like running away from the problems that you thought you were escaping, and then they're so much worse in America. And
Andy,
it's
I
still
was
like
not
it still holds
expecting.
up.
Andy, I was not expecting that plot line at all.
I know,
when you said
right?
that. I was like,
It
whoa.
throws you for a curveball.
I was
And
like,
meanwhile,
wait,
it's still rated
Jewish?
G.
They're running from cats? Is this Mouse the comic?
Yeah, so I think their general thought process was we have to make it a mouse family to kind of like stick it to Disney because it wasn't Touchstone, but it was a competing animation studio with
Mhm.
Disney, like especially around the time that Disney was dipping down before their 90s renaissance. So they were just like, we got to strike while the iron's hot. And American Tail did have decent success. It got a ton of spin-offs, but
So
the original
many.
yeah, the original's pretty good. My personal favorite is An American Tail, 50 Goes West, and it's Western themed, and it's pretty fun.
I think that's the one I watched.
I have
Uh,
not seen this movie or this series at all. I have no idea. I looked up the title, like the
Same.
cover, to see what it is, and I don't remember this at all.
Yeah,
Me
I'd
neither.
I'd recommend maybe cracking a brewski or something and sitting back and just being like, "This is my Friday." Like,
Honestly, yeah.
Oh, is it made by the same people who made Balto?
possibly. I don't even
Yeah, it
know.
is. I think it is. I saw
Oh,
Balto.
wow.
I think you're right, Ryan. Yeah, but Ryan, speaking of you, what's your other pick for favorite childhood movie?
No one's gonna know what
Oh
this
god,
is.
I'm looking at the document. God damn.
What do you mean no one knows what it is? We talked
Okay.
about it a few episodes ago.
Okay, yes. The point of my life. These movies are by no means. Okay, the first one is by no means good. Second, 2 and 3 are, but the Bionicle trilogy. We don't
Man,
count the
I
fourth
had no
movie.
idea what was happening in the third one. It was just dark.
It was dark, but I enjoyed it because I was like, "Oh snap, this is dark," but it's not like stupid dark. Like, I don't know. But
It was just hard to see dark.
but I enjoyed these movies as a kid. I mean, I enjoyed Bionicles and Legos and everything.
Mhm.
2, they apparently had books that went into these movies, so I read those too. But
Wow.
yeah. In case you didn't know, if there's a book to a movie that I enjoy, I'm gonna read it. Go Star Wars. But
Yeah, props to you.
Mhm.
yeah, I enjoyed these movies as a kid. The characters are all very fun and colorful, obviously, because Legos. But I will say the order is two. You should, in terms of timeline, also it's 2, 3, 1, but also that's in quality as well. The
Huh.
first movie is very much standard computer animation. You can tell it got better as it went along.
Not it was standard as in like direct to DVD.
Yes, direct to DVD. Well, here's the thing: the 2 and 3 did better as direct to DVD animation movies than the first one did. Like the first one
Well,
was
there's a huge quality jump in animation between the first and second one.
Yeah.
in industry wise in general.
yeah. So yeah, I
If
very
you
much
would have told me
enjoyed-
that in 2 months after we recorded the Kyler episode, that would be here with Andy talking about Bionicle yet again, I would have told you.
Yeah, Zach,
crazy.
I love the Bionicle series. I don't. I rewatched them all. They're all in. Oh, I don't want to say where they're all on in case we get copyrighted. Never mind.
Oh god.
What's the this like storyline like?
Basically, there's 6 heroes called Toa. They live on these little islands. The first one's in Matanui. The second one's in Metro Nui. Oh, second and third one are both in Metro Nui. But they basically defend the island from this evil force called Makuta. It's a basic heroes come together and fight evil darkness thing.
Okay,
But it's Bionicles, and they each have their own different ability, their own different element. It's fire, water, wind, earth, stone, and ice. Don't
Huh.
ask me how earth and stone are separate elements. We don't question it.
It's the world building of it is very interesting to say the least.
Yes, I enjoyed them as a kid. I rewatched them all the time. I own the second one. The soundtrack was great in the second one.
I have no recollection, so I can't say if you're right or wrong.
Yeah, I have no idea. I only remember the play sets and the commercials that were like Bionicle. I'm like, okay.
I'll tell you where you can find them
The
at.
Bionicles were so edgy as a kid, man. There was like, it's like for those kids, the '90s kids that were like, starting to grow out of Legos. It was like, oh, but what about Bionicles? So like,
Hey,
oh, okay.
Smoking a cigarette, building a Bionicle.
The video games were great too. They were hard as hell, but they were great.
Oh yeah, that's
It's
what I
like-
wanted to say. Hang on, real quick. That's what I wanted to say about the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. The video game was awesome.
Oh yeah, Battle for Bikini Bottom was better, but yes, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, second best SpongeBob game.
So
An
good.
American Tail never got a video game.
Didn't it get a point and click game for PC?
Oh, I have no idea.
I
You're
want to
blowing.
say it did, but I don't know.
How about you, Kevin? What's your next movie?
So another one is a movie that I've watched quite a bit, and I enjoy the show of it too. Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius.
Ooh.
Yeah,
And
Uh,
that came before the series, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So
Nice.
So the movie was actually originally supposed to be the pilot of the show, but like the
Oh.
producers liked it so much they gave it a theater distribution. So yeah, so there we go. But yeah, no, Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius was just a fun Nickelodeon movie about kids whose parents get captured by aliens. They think it's really cool, and then they realize, we don't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
Apparently, I guess anyone over the age of 10 was kidnapped. But there's no such thing as anyone over or under the age of 10 unless they're an adult in the
Yeah.
movie. There's no like little children, like no one had to realize they had to take care of babies or anything.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how they can all breathe in space?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they
mention-
go to
they-
space.
they reference it in the show. Don't talk about it.
It was a force field that Jimmy built. It was fine. I used to watch the show a lot. I loved the show, but for some reason when I was younger, the movie scared the hell out of me.
Was it the giant
Really?
chicken at the end?
It was either the giant chicken at the end. I have here's the way my memory works. The chicken was tied to a song. I think Pink that did it. What was the song that like?
It was the chicken dance.
Yeah, it was.
There was a chicken dance, but I think Pink wrote a song for the movie.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Anyway.
We got
Did
the
Jimmy
beat,
Neutron?
we got
No
the
way.
beat, we got oh, whatever that
No,
song
no,
was.
no.
Oh, that's the Bee Gees.
There's
No,
something
I don't
else.
know.
I'll look it up in a second. But let me continue my little tangent real quick. So it was that, the song, and my
Oh no, sorry, it's not the Bee Gees. I don't know. We got the beat. Oh, I gotta look this up to make sure I'm not wrong.
and the fact that like parents got kidnapped,
Oh,
and I
the
used to like,
Go-Go's.
I was always afraid of my parents like leaving us when we were younger and stuff like that. So it was always scary for me
Aw.
to like see my parents getting kidnapped. Like that terrified me as a child.
Oh man.
But like the series is great. I love the series.
Yeah. I remember renting from Family Video the movie, and I never like got to see the series, but like I would rent the orange tape. I'm pretty sure it was
Yep.
orange.
Yeah, it was
Um,
orange.
But I would always go to Family Video because they had free rentals for kids, and I'm like, Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius again.
Again.
One more time. So that's about the extent of it. Plus I had I think for like a Christmas I got gifted the dog robot. And his back opened up and you could put little things
That's
in it. It was
awesome.
pretty
Oh,
fun.
Goddard.
Yeah.
Okay, so Zach, I'm looking at Jimmy Neutron soundtrack.
Me too.
Pink is not on here, but Britney Spears is with "Intimidated."
It might be
Yo,
that.
even better.
It might be that. Yeah. But
Chicken
yes,
Dance are the credited artist is stupid.
it could be the chicken
Justice
dance.
for Britney.
But also, I need to point out something on here that Bowling for Soup did the Jimmy Neutron theme.
No way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking at that right
That's
now. It's a hidden track.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
They,
bless.
Phineas and Ferb and Jimmy Neutron. Bowling
The
for
best
Soup.
crossover experience was the Jimmy Timmy Power
Timmy
Hours.
Power
I stand by
Hour.
it.
Mm-hmm. Your move, Marvel.
That's my
Marvel's
second
good.
favorite crossover of all time.
But, you know, Jimmy Neutron. I mean, it's still solid today. It has a really solid pacing, solid character development, all
yeah.
that stuff. It's it's really great, nice, and the animation's really nice too, considering it was on a TV budget. So
Anyway.
before we end the podcast, I want to ask you guys, what are some revivals are notoriously bad. We talked about this in another episode recently, but they don't have to be. What childhood film would you like to see remade or have a sequel of some sort? For me personally, I would love to have a sequel to Over the Hedge. I watched Over the Hedge recently again. I was like, man, there's potential for a sequel here. Like, I want one.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't franchise it. Like, it seems like they set up enough like wacky suburbia type stuff that it would have like developed at least into like a spin-off series or something.
Yeah, or like some kind of like cheap animated show. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's based on a comic strip for the newspapers that's still going on.
Really? I had no
yeah.
idea. Huh.
Yeah, the more you know. The creator apparently follows me on Twitter because I mentioned, it's like, oh, I want Over the Hedge to have a sequel. And then he
That's
followed
awesome.
me and he replied to me. He's like, yeah, me too, man.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
that's so funny.
Kevin, to
Oh,
answer your
Brian,
question
what a
as to
guy.
why it did not get a sequel, it did not live up to DreamWorks' money expectations.
I mean, I
Oh.
figured as much.
That's really it.
Meanwhile,
yeah, it wasn't like a huge hit, but like, it was something the kids knew about, though.
Right.
and it still did the Quicksilver sequence before Quicksilver even. did.
Yeah.
So like,
Also,
let's be honest.
very true.
Yeah, like it deserves the sequel.
Well, what about you, Ryan? What's your?
I'm gonna have
wa-
another
wanted revival.
obscure movie. Hot Wheels Acceleracers. No
You
one
say obscure, but I know what it is.
Oh,
I just
thank
haven't
God! So far, only one other person I know knows of this, or two people who know of this existence. The Burdens, but Hot Wheels Accelerators, which was the sequel to Hot Wheels World Race. Yeah, it was a movie TV series kind of on Cartoon Network. There was 4 of them, and then it left on a cliffhanger, and we never got to know what happened. And I was sad because it was a really big cliffhanger, and they just killed off a major character. So
Oh, I hate that.
I really wanted to know what happened, and then it stopped. And there's only 4 movies in the World Race movie, and that's what we're living with. It got dark too. They
dang.
they turned a character into a robot, and then they go into full detail of how he was turned into a robot.
Oh,
He got
my.
his- yeah.
They
It-
changed every part of him.
They sucked out all his
Every
organs.
part of him.
Oh,
This is a kids movie, by the way.
Rated G. In theaters Friday.
What about you, Zach?
So for me, my request is pretty simple. It probably wouldn't go over well if it actually happened because they'd be like, oh, why are we doing remakes? But for me, I just kind of want like a remaster of old Pixar movies. So like, for example, like Toy Story remade with today's animation technology. Like the example I want to like cite is like the cat from Toy Story 4. Like that impeccable design and animation, like detail and technology put into the original Toy Story, put into Monsters Inc. and all the
Right.
old titles. And like, you know what, just give it a 4K release. I'm not really a big 4K guy, but you know what? Toy Story, Monsters Inc., they deserve a 4K re-release.
Yeah, dump it
think they
into
do
the
have-
Unreal Engine or something.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I think they do have a 4K re-release, but like it's just making the colors more pretty.
It's just
not
upscaled,
including
yeah.
ray tracing or anything.
No, but I mean like going back.
Yeah,
into
like no,
project
totally
files, yeah.
overhauled. Yeah, because well, I mean, like my only counter argument with that is that these designs that from like Toy Story, like the dog in Toy Story, like and the humans,
Mhm.
it works because of the limitations. Like they
Right.
designed with the limitations in mind to make
Right.
it all cohesive. So I feel like a sudden like a big boost in quality like that may not work out too well because
fair.
also that's part of the writing, the part of the charm with the writing as well and the voice
Mhm.
acting.
Yeah.
So it would just need a complete overhaul.
Zach, you don't like all of the Andy's friends looking exactly like him but different skin tones?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's the creepiest part of that movie. Besides the cyborg or the toy, little creepy
Oh,
Sid
yeah.
toys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sid
Those gave me
toys.
nightmares.
The weird cannibal-esque, like taking them apart and putting them back together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
imagine that with ray tracing
Heck
technology.
Yeah, man, I'm down for that. Let's go.
it suddenly gets a PG-13 rating.
I don't think they would ever actually like, at least not within our like young lifetime, that
Mhm.
they would actually remaster them. But I could totally see them for like, say like a tech demo or
Yeah.
like an investors meeting, like
Mhm.
doing a side by side of like, hey, here's where we're at, but with the same scene from like Toy Story 1 or something.
Yeah,
Just
could
kind of
totally
give
see
that,
that.
contrast. So I bet that's in the works somehow.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I can see that actually being a really nice, like you said, a tech demo. Just be like, oh,
Mhm.
look at how we've advanced so far by ourselves. Pixar, the pioneers. We're so good. Disney, give us money. And what about you, Andy? What's your desired revival?
Well, go figure that the last movie on our list is the only live action one on all of ours. I'm going with Inspector Gadget. I think it was 2001. live action Disney movie with Matthew Broderick.
Oh my god, it was Matthew.
Interesting
Sorry.
casting choice.
Yeah. And you know, this is coming from a Ferris Bueller stan. He's definitely not the greatest in the role. He definitely just kind of is an actor there. But I'm my kind of thought process is like all the different options you could have with today's like CGI techniques, you could really get creative with, because obviously they're a little limited of like what they could practically do. But I think with today's abilities and with the right budget, they can make not only Inspector Gadget himself, but also like the car and the villain so much more kind of like high tech and realistic, but you know, still keep it child friendly. So I think it could be
Inspector
something.
Gadget, directed by Zack Snyder.
Yo.
Yes,
Yo.
I would love it.
But Andy, you know that did you know that there's 2 animated Inspector Gadget shows? One is a 2D animated from when the movie first released, and the other one, or maybe the movie's based on it actually, and then there was a CGI one on Netflix about less than a decade ago.
Oh, I didn't know about the Netflix one. What? Is it gross? Does it look weird?
You know the Garfield show?
I know that. Oh, okay. Like the newer 3D
The newer
animated
Garfield?
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like that.
Oh.
Slightly better though.
Andy, who would you
Alright.
cast as Inspector Gadget like today in today's standards?
Oh.
Me.
Let's see. Who's a
Me.
young brunette haired person in Hollywood? I don't know.
All of them if you dye their hair.
Let's throw in Timothy Chalamet and freak everyone out.
Hey, Andy, there is
Yeah.
going to be a reboot for Inspector Gadget.
Are you kidding me?
They confirmed
Timothy
it.
Chalamet?
They confirmed it back in January 2020 that it would premiere on Disney
I have
Plus.
I predicted the future, guys.
After it's been already announced.
I know.
yes.
Timothy Chalamet is like, go Gadget.
Stop.
Toothbrush.
Stop.
So you are getting it, Anthony. You're getting it.
All right.
Oh my god. It's going to premiere on Disney Plus. Oh my god, it was during the investors meeting, like when they announced all the other stuff.
That's how I missed everything. You know, they're just like Star Wars, Marvel, and then I missed everything else, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so some of the more interesting announcements they make, they don't even have a photo to go along with it. It's just like a block of text. I'm like, please, man, like this is actually a really cool one. Like the Blood and Bone series getting a Disney Plus adaptation, like that's a cool one. I want to, or maybe it's Child of Bone. It's one of the two, but you know, I know it's an African American young adult novel series that would be really interesting to see Disney try, because it's an urban fantasy, but also it's like kid friendly, so like they could do it.
Yeah.
But still no word on the Percy Jackson Disney Plus live action.
We're getting
series,
one. It's
except that it's still happening.
It was announced during that investors meeting, like with Marvel and Disney and the Star Wars stuff.
No, they did.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It is what it is. But anyways, today has been a fantastic episode of Committed Critics. Do you guys have any last words before we end this episode?
I'm all good. Andy, shameless plug, go.
Subscribe to the Andy Phillips channel at I am Andy Phillips on all the socials, and yeah, I love you.
Ryan, you got anything to say?
Aw.
Watch Bionicles and Hot Wheels. That's
Okay,
all I can say.
Man, why watch Bionicles and Hot Wheels when you can be Bionicles and Hot Wheels? Buy Bionicles and Hot Wheels at your local Walmart. Sponsored.
They don't sell Bionicles anymore.
Are we getting sponsored by Walmart now?
Unfortunately, not. I would sell out to Walmart
I would
to
too.
pay my bills.
I would too.
I'd
Talk
think
about.
twice about it.
It's like I would sell out to most companies. Just do it. This has been Committed Critics. You can follow us on Twitter at Committed Crits. That's COMMITTEDCRITS. You can follow us on YouTube at Committed Critics. That's spelled the same there as it is here and everywhere else. You can support us on Patreon. Just $1 or $2 a month could help us a lot. And special thanks to our current patron, Davey Peppers, who runs the show Game Mechanics on YouTube. And the recent episode is about video games that only had a limited release, whether physical or digital only. It's a really fantastic video essay, only 10 minutes long, worth the time. Special thanks to our sound engineer, Jordan Smearman, and special thanks to Andy for joining us today.
Thank you
so
guys
much.
for having me.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Adios.